All right, everyone, it's Glenn. I'm going to do another video. I haven't done one for a while, and I'm going to talk about Tasmania and potential location of a Neverland. Before I do that, I wanted to cover off on a couple of things. Okay, the way I look at history is different to the way other historians look at things. I have been doing this for a few years, and trying to do fake history is quite challenging. So I look at a few things. One is that if you look in the middle area, I look at, say if I'm doing Sydney, I look at the language. I compare the language to other languages, but even if they're no longer known. So if you look at Hebrew languages, you have to include potential other forms of Hebraic, Canaanite languages, Kemet languages, whatever. I like to look at trade and empires. Who would want to trade with people in Sydney? What would they want from them? Why would people migrate to there, and from where would they migrate? I look at the material culture like everyone else does. I look at the ships, what ships would sail there realistically. I look at the historicity of any documents. Have they carbon dated things? Have they, that sort of stuff? And of course, I look at the myths. So I look at the like the Seven Sisters religion of Australia is very common as part of the worldwide Seven Sisters religion phenomena, which I have my own theories of its origin. And then when I go to the actual narrative, I might look at, say, I'll look at whatever they present to us. So it'll be I think it's John Hunter's, Captain John Hunter's review of Sydney, and I see, well, if that's what they presented to us, it took 20 years to write. What are they trying to hide? And I can see the clues within their narrative as to what it is that they're trying to hide, and I can sort of guess from how they're presenting the fake narrative. I look at also what's missing. So if I'm studying Melbourne, I would expect more information around the 1820s. I'd expect that. I also have my own view of chronology. Anatoly Fomenko, who does the new chronology, he believes that he never looks at America, Australia. He doesn't do much of that. He basically, Africa, he just doesn't really touch it. He just basically compares various dynasties and determines that they're fake. But I think that I have mine. I could go into it at length. I'll do it at some other video, but not quite right now. But in terms of Mudflood or Tartary, I mean, we're looking around the late Middle Ages up to 1850, and I have my views on that. It's a bit different to what other people think, but anyway, this, when it comes to trying to work out who actually went to Australia before the British, there'll be a lot of different cultures, not just Tartary. Tartary's on the top right here, but you've got powerful Arabian kingdoms. You've got India. You've got Bengali powers. You have Galatian people desperately leaving. So many more likely to have come to Australia than Tartary. But there is some Norse aspects to Australia, which I want to cover at some point. But today, we are going to look at Tasmania as a potential site. Look at Tasmania as a potential site with all its unusual place names. And was it Hook's Island? Here's a map of Hook's Island. And this from Peter Pan. You see there's Mermaid Lagoon, there's Skull Rock, there's Cannibal Cove, and there's Hangman's Tree, and you've got the Indian camp, which obviously would be the Aboriginals. Kazz Maynard, a very active Mudflood moderator from the Mudflood group, has done a lot of work. She has been working very hard on mythology and place names, and how there are spiritual aspects to why certain places are chosen. So let's look at Tasmania as potentially a backwater deliberately loaded, where its place names are loaded with mythology. Let's just start with referencing a biblical entering the promised land, Joshua. So Joshua is taking his people across to the promised land. Now we keep thinking that all these promised lands and all the things in the biblical stories only pertain to one area, when in fact it's a story that seems to be applied whenever there is, wherever it's needed. So you would have had a lot of Moorish people in North America where we probably get the name Mormon from. And the Mormon religion is probably an Ishmaelite religion. Ishmaelite being in the Old Testament generally referred to you could say Moorish people. Anyway, just going back to this could just as easily refer to people leaving the old world and going to Australia, just as much as it could mean anything else. So so it says here in Joshua 3:1, early in the morning, Joshua and all the Israelites set out from Shittim and went to the Jordan, where they camped before crossing over and, of course, going to Jericho. All right. Now, how does that relate to Tasmania? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start to look at all the potential place names that are viable. For a start, we'll start with Shittim. Shittim is in fact a mining well in Bruny Island, I think. Bruny Island. It's around here. Don't know why they called a well Shittim. I mean, they particularly used an Old Testament word. Okay. Jordan River. Yes, there's a Jordan River in Tasmania. It is located just here. Jordan River. There it is. And it just goes on and on. You've got Jericho, which is further up. There you are. Okay, so you're already there now. And then you've got Walls of Jerusalem, which to me, if you look at it, it seems like a haven, or like it's almost when you start going back to the Younger Dryas and what was the world after the major cataclysm. They would have known where the safe havens were before they re-emerged and started society. So I think that a lot of the old world secret societies knew the Jerusalems around the world, Peru being one of them, I think, and many others. So Wars of Jerusalem's another. King Solomon's something. King Solomon's Caves, of all the names, just further, it's not far off. There it is, King Solomon's Caves. Mount Zion. There's that. Where are we? Yep, Mount Zion. Okay. You've got and the Promised Land. There you are. It's even a Promised Land. In regards to Captain Hook, and he has Dead Man's Cave, it's situated around here, Mermaid Cove, which I think's here, and his reference to and in Tasmania, when it comes to trees, whether it's a tree of life or death or whatever, we have Centurion Tree, 330 feet high, located, I think it's somewhere down here, around this forest here. So Tasmania seems to be, because they seem to have free reign. They put all the prisoners here. The Macquarie Harbour historic site is very old. It'd be hundreds of years old. It's not what they say it is. Some of the sites here are just ancient. And I think that this was their Never Land. I've mentioned that Starala Ladoga and the Ladoga Lake in Russia is a Neverland. That could have been a Neverland as well as Tasmania. We might have had two Neverlands going on here. So far out of the way that no one could ever penetrate them. Hence why you got odd place names. Yes, you do have indigenous people, but what you've got to understand when you're thinking about timelines is that you keep thinking that it's continuous. I would say that there would have been a massive break in change in sea powers in the 1700s or something. So you would have had towns just abandoned, perhaps, the Dutch not going there. You would have probably had a period where there was less activity. But so I'm interested to know your thoughts on these place names. Whether you think Tasmania is unique. Geologists have just discovered, a geologist, I don't know who offhand, realised that Australia was not part of Tasmania. Tasmania was part of its own floating landmass, but that gives it its own special significance. All right, well, that's it. Thanks very much. I'd like to hear what you think.